I like this guy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to the witnesses for being here. I'll start with Detective Inspector Wade. You said in response to the previous questions that a lot of the offenders that you're catching are out on bail. Is that the case? And you said a significant amount or a majority of the offenders are out on bail that you're catching with auto theft?
That is correct. And I was specifically referring to the carjacking task force, and it was around 40% of the offenders we are arresting were out on bail at the time.
Is that a number that you think has increased over the past few years, or is that kind of an average number that you would expect as that's a normal number?
Don't have the data to back it up, but I do believe it's increasing.
It's an increasing number. We do know that with recent bail changes in 2019, Bill C-75 that the Liberals brought in, that a number of bail provisions were changed, which puts the onus on judges and police officers to release suspects. Have you seen an impact from that change in 2019, from an increase in people being let out on bail?
Again, I wish I had the data and the specific information to be able to answer that question, confidently, but I do believe that we've seen an increase.
And what are some of the sentences that you're seeing for these cases for the people that you are catching when it does go to the courts? What sort of sentences are you seeing being handed out?
Well, I think we referred to some stats, 68% under 6 months sentencing and less than 1% under 2 years, less than 1% over a 2-year sentencing.
Because I've read, that in many of these cases, people are caught with firearms. They're caught in possession of drugs. Is that the case that you're finding in some of these cases where you're catching people?
I mean, every case is different. I mean, obviously, when there's aggravating factors and additional charges, windfall evidence, firearms, other associated offenses, I would like to think that the sentences would reflect that, and I'm sure they do.
Are you seeing cases where people are getting 6 months or under 2 years when they're also caught with firearms or with drugs?
I don't have the data for that. I would imagine we're getting stronger sentences if there's firearms involved. I would certainly hope so.
Now, how much money
What do you mean you'd
does,
hope
this
so?
Does the average auto thief make per stolen vehicle?
It's hard to quantify it exactly, but there's multiple stages and layers in the auto theft process. They're spotters. They sometimes make $100, a couple $100 just to identify a vehicle in a driveway that'll later be stolen by a thief. That thief may make somewhere between several $100s to a couple $1,000s to steal it. Then there's runners.
Is that like one a night for the thief, or are they doing multiples every night usually?
Again, I don't really have the data to support that, but we'll see crews. These are auto theft crews working together, and they'll steal multiple vehicles in one night.
Okay, and when we're seeing these sentences, do you think that the sentences, these 6 month sentences or these under 2 year sentences, that these are a deterrent for these criminals, or do you think that they feel that there's such a low likelihood that they're getting caught and the payday is so high, as you said, could be several $1,000s a night? That it's not really a huge risk for them. It's not really something they consider when they're stealing these vehicles.
Well, I'd like to think that there's a deterrent with the sentences, and there should be a deterrent. That should be one part of it. It's also providing justice and the public a sense of safety. So it's a combination of all those factors.
Now, with the you're aware of the Jordan principles in sentencing that came out from the Supreme Court in 2016. Do you think Crown prosecutors view these car thefts as just property crimes and less of a place less importance on them than they do more violent crimes?
I wouldn't say that, and I think the establishment, again, and I can only speak for Ontario, of the major auto theft prosecution response team is going to counter a lot of those issues if that is the case. But we work very well with all of our MAG partners in putting cases before the court and prosecuting them.
Is that with so many violent cases, I mean, I think you'll agree, there's some horrendous cases, sexual assault, sexual harassment of children, murders. There's people that are being let out because of the Jordan's principle because their cases are taking too long. And I think, Crown prosecutors are being put in a very difficult position where they have to choose between getting time for, an assault case or a murder case or a sexual assault case or booking time for vehicle cases. Do you think that they're having to make a compromise and, give plea deals or give lesser sentences in order to speed up convictions on vehicle thefts in order to get these more violent cases brought up so that they don't get taken out by Jordan's principle. Is that something that you're seeing on the front lines?
I can't say that's something I'm seeing. What I can say is, Jordan is something that we're working with. Our police officers are adapting and changing the way we investigate crimes, the way we conduct disclosure, and working with the Crowns in that manner. So, thanks.
Wow. That's wild.